The last finishing touches of our Venetian mask. What have I done? I have finished off the little curly whirly bits. I've darkened that curl by adding some red on the left hand side and softening by adding water. I'll just, so you can actually see it. I have put in a little bit of green at the base of that red feather, and I have done that indigo feather, and all we've got to do now is I'm going to paint that indigo feather and then finish off those little green feathers, and then I think we can happily call it done. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I will zoom in onto those feathers so you can see them. Okay, right, so I am going to be using the green, and mostly just the green that we've used all the way through, and starting off with my bigger brush, just so that I don't go and spill anything on her face. We'll have a tissue in place. I seem to be doing quite well at dropping bits of water. We have the obligatory cup of coffee. If you haven't got yours, you better push pause and go and get one. Because somehow painting doesn't work without tea or coffee. Well, in my books anyway. Okay, so the green. Make sure that your paints are nice and wet. Squirt them off with water. And here we go. Finishing touches. So I'm just going to put green on all three bases. But I'm only going higher up on the middle one. You can see how this one actually looks a different colour, only because it's got green underneath it already. Right, there we are. And I'm going to keep putting green in here. Now, I don't want these feathers to be too dark. I want to keep my lights, because if we look at the painting as a whole, we've got quite a lot of darks, and I do think we need some lights in the top feathers. So I am going to concentrate on putting in pale green. Right, this feather here, I do think I want the tips to be darker so that they stand out. So darker doesn't mean blacker, it means greater in tone. There we are. I'll just let that bleed all the way down. Okay, so while those are all settling out, I'm going to go onto this side and put in this last indigo feather. Again, I'm painting wet paint onto dry paper. just so that it links properly. You'll notice how I'm actually putting in a thin dark line. I'm not just starting there, I've actually started further down. It just makes it fit better. Right, now we've got two indigos together, and I do want to see them separate. So, question is, dark, light. I think I'm actually going to keep this part, got water on there, lighter. So it's lighter against that one, so it stands out. And darker on the top edge. And again, I'm going to play by making it just that little bit longer. I'm making sure it's nice and flat, that I've got a lot of pigment in here, and I'm just dropping it in along the top edge, not going anywhere near that light area, and leaving it be. That's it. Right, let's have a look. I'm going to have a little play with the end of this feather. Some of these are shapes that aren't on the tracing. They're shapes that I'm creating. And I decided to put that one in only because I've got that line, and I thought, well, let's just carry it on. And I'm going to just, so that it looks conical, make it slightly darker. Why not? And I might actually do the same thing with the next one. I'm going to get into trouble now because that is damp and I'm wanting to put my hand on it, and I don't want to go and dry it with the dryer. So by just darkening off those edges, I'm not making the whole feather dark, but I'm getting some definition in here. There we are. And this time I'll just put a little bit more of the green in there. Right. Okay, what are we going to do now? That one's going to go back, I think. So I'm going to take some of my indigo and add some of the green to it. And I'm going to push this feather into the background. Well, I hope I am. And I'm going to soften that top edge. So all I've done is made it darker at the bottom. Right. I'm going to make it even darker that side, which has immediately brought this one forward, which is what I'm aiming to do. Damp brush. And because all the others are defined on the edges, I'm going to do the same again to this one. That's it. That's it. Okay. We're going to make that a little bit darker by putting a pale indigo wash over it. That's good, happy with that. And I've got this indigo and green on my tile, so I'm just going to put it in there as well. Okay, yep, same indigo and a bit of the green, because I just want to bring this darker area into there. So this technique is more or less the same that we've used throughout the painting. It's wetting a shape with paint. There's very few occasions when I've actually wetted with water. Dropping in colour, either allowing the colour to bleed until it doesn't want to bleed anymore, or softening the edge with a clean damp brush, or a brush with lots of water, depending on how dry it is. And that is one of the main techniques that we've used throughout the painting. After that, all we've done is colour. We've mixed our colours and decided where to put them. And we've also thought about lights and darks. So light tones and dark tones. How do we make one shape show up against the other shape? Notice here how I've darkened that edge, but I've stopped short because I didn't want, the minute I brought that down to there, I would lose the impact. So I haven't gone all the way down to there, because I would have made those two tones on either side too close. Okay, I think that I'm going to call that a day. It's when do you stop? The best way to work out whether your painting is finished is to go and put it in front of a mirror, or take a photograph and have a look at your painting in the photograph. That will very quickly tell you whether it's finished or not. Something will jump out at you, and you'll be able to see whether it's finished. So I hope you've enjoyed doing the mask, and if you have, do it again. Practice does make perfect. And just remember, plan, plan and plan.